Okay, once again, a good day to all of you who have just joined. Let's get started with the session. We're a couple of minutes into the scheduled time. I still see few people joining, but let's get the things rolling. Once again, welcome to this webinar about chatbots for PeopleSoft using Oracle Digital Assistant. And my name is Logesh Balasubramaniam. I'm a managing director at SpearMC Consulting, and both I and SpearMC Consulting are celebrating our 20th anniversary with PeopleSoft Consulting. My core area of expertise is PeopleSoft HCM and various aspects of human capital management, starting with recruitment, talent management, time to payroll process, and all these related process associated with it is my core areas with over 20 years of consulting in that space. And personally, emerging technologies for PeopleSoft is my personal uh, uh, favorite area. And this topic about chatbots for PeopleSoft is one that I enjoy the most in terms of both working with customers and presenting on. So looking forward to this session. This is truly a global webinar where we have representation from over 15 different time zones on this call. So depending on where you're connecting from, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, different time zones. So looking forward to this presentation. In terms of a quick logistical aspect, throughout this presentation, if you have any question, please feel free to log the questions using the Q&A section of the webinar, and at different points during the presentation, I will check and see if there are questions that I need to answer. And towards the end of it, time permitting, I'll try to make sure all the questions are answered. And if we do have any items left that we need to review and get back, we can do that over the email as well. So feel free to post any questions you have on the Q&A window on the GoToWebinar platform. All right. With that, let's get started. We have quite a lot of content to cover in this on our webinar. Starting first with a quick demo of the digital assistant functionality that is delivered by Oracle for PeopleSoft application, and then we'll have a deep dive into what are the benefits offered by the digital assistant chatbot functionality, what are the fundamental aspects of it, what a PeopleSoft customer needs to be aware in order to use this chatbot functionality. And once you make the decision to use it, how does the deployment process look like? What a customer needs to do to go ahead and deploy and use this function. And we'll have plenty of time for Q&A as well. There is quite a lot of content that we have packaged into this presentation, and we'll also make sure a lot of information is covered as part of the documentation. So if we have to share the information out, you have more detailed content to refer as well. With all of that, let's get started with a quick demo. Now, for a demo purpose to have a streamlined experience, we have a recorded chatbot functionality, a working chatbot functionality that I want to walk through and provide a commentary as we go through various use cases. Now, for this demo, what the approach to this demo is to look at various use cases that a typical PeopleSoft user would encounter using the chatbot functionality. And for this demo, we are going to use a PeopleSoft HCM application. Similar user experience, similar skill set, similar use cases are available for financials and campus solutions customer as well. So we'll start with this and go through different kinds of use cases that you would encounter and how those use cases can be addressed using the chatbot functionality. All right. So the screen that you're seeing now on the presentation window is the standard PeopleSoft screen. Just give me 1 second. I see there is a bit of disturbance here. Let me restart that just so that. All right. Hopefully we can address it without the hiccup now. All right. Now The screen that is a standard PeopleSoft screen that everyone must be familiar with using this. So wha- for this particular chatbot demo, I'm logging into a PeopleSoft demo environment as an administrative user. And so if you notice on the right-hand bottom corner of the screen, there is a small green widget on the right-hand bottom of the screen, and which is a green in color that the user is about to click and expand upon. Now, this widget is the starting point of the user's interaction with PeopleSoft. Now, as the widget expands, we can see that the chatbot window says it's a SpearMC digital assistant, and it is branded in a green color with a SpearMC logo on it. Now, this aspect of it are all part of the personalization functionality available as part of the chatbot, the delivered Oracle Digital Assistant framework. Now, as we can see here, the chatbot pops up with a welcome message that says, "Hello, Razana. I am Didi, your personal digital assistant, and here are some things that you can do." Now, once again, there is ability to name your chatbot or personal assistant and provide personalized custom welcome messages. All these aspects are a various personalization ability available within the delivered framework. So user, the first use case I want to walk through with this example is where a user who is new to PeopleSoft is logged in and using the chatbot window is trying to understand what are the various capabilities, what are the functions that are available using this conversational interface. So let's say it starts with Absence Assistant. There is ability to pass through what other things are available like Benefit Assistant, directory, expenses, payroll, requisition. All these various options are available. Now, assuming let's say this is a new user, they can explore this by say, okay, show me what options are available within a particular assistant, like a benefit assistant, and then say, okay, I can look at my benefit plans, dependent beneficiaries. So they drill down and go with the prompts that are available. So the user is trying to click at the benefit plans and look at the savings plan specifically, and within saving plans, specifically the 401k plan option, and they are able to see that, all right, I'm enrolled into this particular 401k plan, Fidelity Investments, and this is my contribution percentage, etc. I'll pause here for a second. And the first and foremost thing that we will notice here is when the user has logged into PeopleSoft, they provided a credential to log into the application. And since the chatbot functionality or the digital assistant is accessed within the PeopleSoft application, the user's credential that is used to log in is already factored in, and basically the chatbot knows who the user is signed in as, and all the information that is made available using this chatbot is specific to that particular user. So the user doesn't have to say who they are, their system already knows who they are. And when they want to look at any information like their own benefit plans, paycheck, or request absence, any functionality, it is they are doing it for themselves. The system knows who the user is signed in as. Now, the chatbots that are delivered at current stage predominantly are end user chatbots, meaning they're either for users like employees for doing their self-service activities, or a user like applicant for in the recruitment module for their self-service activity, or supplier on the financial side for their service activity, or potentially a student on the campus side for their self-service. So the chatbot functionality is primarily aimed at end users to perform their self-service tasks. And the example that we are seeing here is an employee using the chatbot to perform their own self-service activities. So essentially what it means is they are not seeing anyone else's information, and all the activities they are doing are pertaining to their own data. Now, the reason I'm spending and explaining, emphasizing on this point is that this is one of the biggest difference between using Oracle delivered chatbot using the Oracle Digital Assistant platform versus using any other third-party solution for chat functionality or a conversational UI. Because if you end up considering any other non-Oracle chatbot functionality, then this integration to know who the user is and the authentication associated with it will all have to be built custom for this functionality to work. With the delivered chatbot functionality using the Oracle Digital Assistant platform, the authentication and the PeopleSoft security associated with it all comes delivered. So what we are seeing in this example and all the subsequent scenarios that I'm going to show all come out of the box delivered functionalities. There is no custom development involved in it. All right. With that, let me proceed with this user activity where they are looking to see what is their beneficiary designation. So I can see here that this particular employee, Rosanna Channing, has two people as their beneficiaries for their savings plan. A spouse registered at 75% as primary and a child with 25% distribution as their beneficiaries. Now, when the user looks at this information, let's say they have a question to say, how do I update this? I see that I have a certain distribution set up and I want to change it. How do I do that? And the chatbot responds saying that, okay, you can do it in this particular page and you can either do it now or do it later. User clicks take me there. The chatbot directs them to the page where they can make this change. So they are going into a particular benefits page, which is a standard PeopleSoft page, and they are able to make the change there. Now, this activity that the user is doing there, where they're going to a page and updating this particular making this data change, this is done outside of the chatbot. However, the chatbot directed the user to go here and do that. So what it means is that the user doesn't have to know or remember specifically where can I find that page to go and change my beneficiary information. I was having this conversation using the chatbot, and the chatbot directed me to this page where I can go ahead and make this change. And I quickly went in there and made the change. Now I'm back to my chat window, and I can just make sure I did my change get saved? Did it get updated correctly? I can just look at this information again to say, show me my beneficiary designation. And now I can see there the distribution percentages have been updated to 60 and 40 instead of 75 and 25. I'll pause here and highlight a very important factor here, which is the information that is made available using this chatbot functionality is real time. We just saw that at the beginning of the conversation, the dependent beneficiary distribution was set up as 75 and 25, and the user was asked how to make this change or where do I make this change. Chatbot directed them to a page where they could make the change, and they're back into the chatbot trying to verify, and they're able to see that the change is already effective. What this means is that all the information that is being requested and provided to the user using this chat window, chat functionality is real time. So they are as and when the data is changing, the information is always current and accurate using the chatbot functionality. Right. So this is a very first use case where a user is able to go through. I'll pause here. Go through, follow the prompts that are provided by the chat assistant, and review their information and are interested in making a change and are able to go ahead and make that change using the chatbot functionality. Now let's say go to the second use case where a user comes in with a specific task in mind. They don't have to go through all the prompts that the chatbot provides, and they have a specific question in mind like, what is my dental direction? So they type in the dental direction, and the chatbot responds saying, okay, here is your latest dental direction. Here is the latest contributions you made. This is the employee contribution. This is the employer contribution. So user is asking a specific question, and the chatbot is able to respond with a very specific answer using their own data. There isn't any further prompting. There is basically addressing the specific question that the user has. This is a second use case where if a user is already looking for some specific information, ability to retrieve and provide that information. Right? That's a straightforward second use case. Now, Let's move on to the next use case where, let's say, the user wants to look at their paycheck details. Now, if you notice, the user said, I want to view my paycheck. Now, the chatbot is able to understand it is related to pay, and the system terminology is, let's say, pay slip, not a paycheck. And the chatbot is able to match that because that's the best fit that is identified by the chatbot. And then say, okay, here is, do you want to view your pay slip? And the user says yes, and able to retrieve the summary pay slip information and show it on the chatbot. And then if they want more details, provide the link to, let's say, take them to the PDF statement payslip available in the system. It might be another page, it might be a generated PDF, all made accessible from within the chatbot window. All right. And then say, pick up another example. When is my next pay? Able to answer the question directly based on how the pay calendars are set up. It is on so and so date. Show me my direct deposit information. When there are multiple information available, information is provided in a sort of a sliding card format. There are multiple bank information available. So chatbot is able to provide that information in a sliding card format. So these are different examples of how the information available in the system is made available to the user in various formats. Now, another example is when is open enrollment. Now, this is an example where, for depending upon certain functionalities, might be done outside PeopleSoft, depending upon how the organization is set up and how what functionalities are configured in PeopleSoft within a particular business process like or like payroll or recruitment or benefits. Certain functionalities may be done within the PeopleSoft, certain functionality may be done using third-party systems. However, the assistance provided to the employee may have questions across any functions they use. Whether it is done in PeopleSoft or not doesn't really matter to an employee. For example, let's say one of my benefits is provided using a third-party company, and as an employee, I might have a question around that. Am I eligible for that? To answer that, it doesn't matter whether the particular plan or program or etc. is set in PeopleSoft. Chatbots can be trained to answer any question the employee might have using simple Q&A format, or what we would call as frequently and asked questions. So the chatbot has a framework called Q&A framework to basically train the chatbot using the common questions that different department gets, be it benefits, payroll, recruitment, and make it an assistant that can answer any of those questions, regardless whether the data is in PeopleSoft or not. An example here is, let's say, open enrollment. You may do it in PeopleSoft, you may not do it in PeopleSoft, but the answer that the employee is looking for is when does it start? So basically, chatbot can be trained to answer that. So it starts on so and so date and goes until end of the year. It can be easily trained to answer that question. All right. So when trying to deploy chatbot, that is important to keep in mind. It doesn't have to answer only things that are done in PeopleSoft. Chatbot can answer any questions as long as they're trained with that information around the entire business process. Doesn't matter if it is managed in PeopleSoft or not. Now let's say all the scenarios that I have shown here where information requested based on what is in the system or what they are trained on. In addition to that, chatbots can also be used to submit information, like make changes to existing data in the system using the chatbot conversational interface as well. And a good example here is an absence request. So, for example, an employee is looking at, okay, what's my absence balance? And the chatbot says, okay, you have so and so vacation or sick hours available. And I'm typing in a command saying, I want to submit an absence request, and gives me various options. Request absence, yes. Then it's ask questions. Okay, when does your absence start? Let's say it starts on 6th October. It gives me a format to say how should I type it in. Let's say 6th October, and when does it end? Provide an example and say it ends on the same day is my response, and what type of absence it is. Depending upon how your absence are set up, the absence are shown. I choose yes. Is it any partial days? No. What is the reason for it? It's a personal time off. Is there any other comment you want to add? Yes. Maybe there is a reason for this personal time off. Provide that information and go ahead and submit it. And it gets a confirmation message saying, do you wish to proceed? Yes. So the absence request for that date, for that period, with the comment is getting submitted. Now, this is an example where all the questions that the chatbot asks, if you basically relate that, those are typically the data fields that a user will fill it on an online page, like an absence request form, to say, when does my absence start? When does it end? What is my reason? What any comments associated with it, and so forth, so that all this information is being gathered in a conversational format, and the user is able to go ahead and submit it. Now, this is another use case of basically showing how chatbot, the user interface, can be used to save data, submit information as a transaction into the system. There is functionality available within recruitment module for submitting the application and so forth. So this is one other example of how to do it. Now, chatbots can also be used to provide a mechanism for users to reach different help desk users if needed. For example, okay, I was able to get my majority of my questions answered. Standard information are made available using the chatbot. But in addition to all of that, a particular employee might want to talk to a benefits person or a support assistant, maybe to discuss a more complex scenario. They can always request for that information, and either the information can be provided, like for example, here is the number to your benefits administrator, and here is the email. And it can also, chatbot framework can also be set up to have an integration, like a phone integration to the help desk agent as well. That capability is available as well, where complex scenarios cannot be addressed all using the chatbot, may have to be transferred to an agent for more detailed discussion. So all these examples or various scenarios or various different use cases that are supported by the chatbot functionality that is available for PeopleSoft application. Okay. So there ends our demo aspect of it. I'll get into the presentation. And also this is a good time to let me quickly review if there are any questions before I get started with the discussions around everything that we saw, how it works. We'll go into that topic right after I look at the questions. All right. I do see there was a question about one. Looks like one user was not able to hear, but I see that has been answered. So I hope everyone else is able to hear, and also the one user who had earlier issue hearing is now able to hear as well. So I'll keep an eye on the questions chat window. If there is anything else, please post your questions there. All right. Now I'm switching back to my presentation mode, and I will go through basically the information that we saw as a different working use cases, how that all happens, and what are the things that the user needs to be aware of. All right. Okay, let me bring up the QA window here, just in case I have it handy on my side. Excellent. All right. Now, quickly, using the different use cases that I covered, I just wanted to quickly call out what are the core benefits of using the chatbot functionality, right? Now, the reason we want to talk about this briefly is majority of the customers who are exploring chatbots for PeopleSoft will have to go through a process of putting together a business case or making sure the value of the chatbots is fully understood, and the value offerings is fully understood, so that they can make a case internally to get things approved and so forth. So what are the common and key important value proposition offered by the chatbot? The first and foremost is the interactive conversational user experience. So all the functionalities that I went through and showed in the demo, ability to go to instead of navigating to different pages to this in the system and figuring out where to do things. I was able to get the information directly using a single conversational interface where to go and find either get information or update information. Everything was done in that single chatbot widget window over there within the application. What it means is that if the as the primarily end users of your organizations who might frequently be changing, be it employees, be it applicants, be it suppliers, who the organization do not have a lot of control over. It is a significantly intuitive user interface that doesn't require a lot of training because users are familiar with how to interact using conversational user interfaces. We typically don't train users to use chat windows. Becomes much more easier for users to do things, right? So user experience and training becomes the most important aspect associated with chatbot functionality. And when it comes to providing assistance to the users, instead of asking users to say, please go and review the training guide and do this activity, chatbot provides a more engaging and more on-demand assistance when the user needs it. So when they, let's say, they log in and they have a question about one of their absence policy or a benefit policy, they can request that question, and a more relevant, direct answer to that question can be provided right when they need it, rather than asking them to review 30 pages of a policy document, right? So a significant difference in terms of assistance, how assistance is provided, and when it is provided. Most importantly, when the user needs it. So on-demand assistance plays a big role as well. So these are some of the direct benefits that the customers would see when you are trying to deploy chatbots, and if you have to explain how what are the benefits the organization will receive. And depending upon how the organization is set up, what sort of call volumes your current departments have, like if you are using absence management, what sort of calls the payroll team receives when it comes to supporting absences. If you're using recruitment, what sort of call volumes your support desk recruitment team is receiving, supporting the applicants. Depending upon that, the percentage, there can be a significant reduction in call volumes when it comes to addressing those same concerns using delivered chatbot functionality. So various benefits that are gained out of chatbots is listed in here. All right. Now, how does this chatbot functionality work? I have been talking about chatbots for PeopleSoft, and we saw the demo where I logged into the PeopleSoft application and showed the chatbot to do different things in the system. Now, the fundamental engine that drives this chat functionality, chat-based system access, is using a solution called Oracle Digital Assistant. It is an Oracle Cloud solution. It's a platform as a service offering from Oracle. And the Oracle Digital Assistant is the AI-based engine that is able to understand what the user is asking using the natural language processing capability and convert that information into information that the PeopleSoft system is able to handle using the integration framework, and access this intermediate mechanisms that translates and back and forth the information, making the conversational user interaction possible. So a simple diagram there on the left-hand side, the conversational window, like the conversational channel we just used in our demo is the web channel, the second one in the list. So using the conversational window, Oracle Digital Assistant performs bulk of the heavy lifting in terms of understanding what the user is asking, translating into what PeopleSoft would understand, and integrating with PeopleSoft system on the back end and providing that back and forth conversation ability. So that Oracle Digital Assistance as an engine, as a service, is the mandatory prerequisite to build this chatbot functionality. Or to put it in a different way, the delivered chatbots for PeopleSoft are provided using this Oracle Digital Assistant platform. So to make use of, to deploy the chatbots, user will have to subscribe to this Oracle Digital Assistant platform and make use of the delivered chatbot skills. And we will see what's the process associated with it. Okay. All right. Now, for those users who are essentially using different PeopleSoft application pillars, be it human resource, be it financials, campus solution, it could be learning management, customer relationship management, depending upon which area, which product pillar you are using, there are some minimum prerequisites for the applications to be able to make use of this delivered chatbot framework and chatbot skills. Now, the list at the top basically shows what are the pre-built chatbot skills that are available for the PeopleSoft customers. Majority of them starts with PeopleSoft HCM customers, so absence, benefits, company directory, payroll, a candidate applicant functionality, and the financial skills expense requisition supplier. Now, these skills are pre-built and delivered by the Oracle team. So if we want to use these skills, the amount of work that is needed is very minimal. We can easily download and configure and start using these skills. However, the chatbot framework is also provided which users can build their own skills. Maybe you want to build your own skills for students or expand the skills that are provided and create your own versions of it. All those options are available. The list here is the skills that are available out of the box for PeopleSoft customers. Okay. And so far, I have been using the terminology a digital assistant, a chat assistant, a chatbot interchangeably. For most purposes, they all relate and mean a similar aspect. However, the key differentiation there is the individual skills that are provided for different modules like benefits assistant, payroll assistant, recruitment assistant, procurement assistant, they're all considered called as individual chatbot skills. However, since all these are relating to specific groups of users, for example, benefits, payroll, expenses are all related to employee functions. They all are combined into a single digital assistant, and the PeopleSoft delivered digital assistant is called as Picasso, which is essentially PeopleSoft Intelligent Chat Assistant from Oracle. Picasso is a name given to it. And the demo that we went through, where I was able to use the same single consolidated chatbot window to ask questions about payroll, ask questions about benefits. I was submitting my absence. I was doing that all within a single chat window. And that consolidated functionality is referred to as the digital assistant, the framework that consolidates different skills into a single user experience, user window where all the activities can be done is the digital assistant framework. So the distinction between what a digital assistant is and what individual chatbot skills are important to know here. The individual modular skills that are available for different modules are referred to as chatbot skills, while the consolidated framework that makes all of this brings all of this information into a single window, and the digital assistant would know, depending upon the questions you ask, which chatbot skill I send it to. And that is the digital assistant framework. And you can easily understand the benefits of it, where as an employee, I may have question anywhere in my experience of using the system. I don't have to know, okay, I need to go and ask this question to a benefit skill, or I need to go and ask this question to a payroll chatbot. I can post my question in one window, and the digital assistant would know where to route it to. Okay, so that's the functionality of the digital assistant. So what we saw in the demo is an example of the delivered Picasso digital assistant by the Oracle PeopleSoft team. All right. Now let's quickly go through what is delivered and what are some of the basics, fundamentals of using this functionality. And this list was put together based on the common questions that we received. So first thing is, What is delivered out of the box for PeopleSoft customers is the chatbot skill specific to different PeopleSoft modules. We saw the list earlier: absence, recruitment, company directory, and so forth. Customers need ODA, Oracle Digital Assistant. ODA stands for Oracle Digital Assistant, and a subscription to that cloud service to be able to deploy and use these chatbots. There is no additional licensing needed on the PeopleSoft side. The chatbot framework, the People Tools functionality associated with it, the integration services, all aspects to make this chatbots work is included as part of the standard PeopleSoft licenses. There is no additional servers or infrastructure requirements to make use of this chatbot functionality on the PeopleSoft side. Um, we will, in the subsequent slide, we will see how the connection works. As long as your PeopleSoft system is able to communicate to the Oracle Cloud's digital assistant service, that would be sufficient for the chatbot functionality to work. No additional servers or infrastructure requirements mandated by the framework. The overall installation process to install and get this system up and running, get this integration up and running so the chatbot can work is a fairly straightforward process. Typically takes less than a day. What we mean by that is ability for you to download what is available out of the box and get it set up so you can play around and see how it works is a very simple, straightforward process. Takes less than a day. I do see some user raising a hand. Please post your questions to the chat window, so I'll take a pause and review the questions as and when we go through different sections. Okay. Um, the default way to invoke and use the conversational interface, or what we would call as a channel for communication, is from within the PeopleSoft application. So that's the example we saw. User logged into PeopleSoft. There was a widget on the right bottom corner that the user clicked to be able to use the conversational window. That is the delivered default channel. There are various other channels like Microsoft Teams. User could converse from within Microsoft Teams. User could use a mobile-based SMS functionality to talk to have that conversation. All those are in addition. There are different dependencies to set up those functionality, but the delivered functionality out of the box uses the default web channel, which is the access from within the PeopleSoft application. And we already saw during the demo the security that is already available in PeopleSoft, which restricts user to different pages, different data. That is used by the chatbot functionality. So if I am logged in as my own user account and I'm going to my self-service and I'm using the chatbot window to talk and converse using the chat assistant, then the system knows who I am, what roles I have, what is which employee ID is associated with me, and what data should be provided to me. All the existing security information is made use for to provide the information through the chat window. Okay, there is no other major security framework. The functionality that is already set up in PeopleSoft becomes the foundation of using the chat assistant as well. So these are some of the common questions we come across to understand what is delivered out of the box. Now, once you know what is delivered out of the box, the next is, let's say if you want to proceed to the next step of exploring the chatbots and digital assistants further, what needs to happen? The first and foremost thing, as we said, is a subscription to the Oracle Digital Assistant platform is a prerequisite to use this functionality. And there are various trial options available for customers. There's free trial options that you could use. You can work with your Oracle representative to get more advanced trial options as well. That would vary from customer to customer, region to region, etc. However, let's assume that you have received the trial account credentials to use the Oracle Digital Assistant. Once the prerequisite is met, the next step is to basically to get these two systems to talk to each other. And there are a few handful of steps that needs to happen on the PeopleSoft side and a handful of steps that needs to happen on the digital assistant side. And that's what is listed here at a very high level. Typically, the PeopleSoft system administrator in your organization or whoever is supporting your system, they would be the right person to be doing this task, because these are backend system administration tasks. So on the PeopleSoft side, there is a software development kit, a web SDK available that needs to be deployed on the server. There are some minor security configuration for setting up the chatbot user and enabling few integration broker services and firewall rules, etc., and configuring the communication channel to talk to the Oracle Digital Assistant service. Similarly, on the Oracle Digital Assistant side, setting up an account password, downloading and the delivered skills and setting up the connection parameters, and then making sure the system can talk to each other. Now, this is the setup where I said earlier, typically in our experience, when we have set up our own integration with ODA, typically it's been done within a half a day using a system administrator goes through these tasks and able to configure on both sides and able to get the system talking to each other. Now, this is the bare minimum interaction that needs to happen for the chatbots to work. Okay. And the next step is comes the deployment process. Before deployment process, I want to quickly cover some of the terminologies that you need to be familiar when we talk about chatbots and how to deploy the chatbots. I'll take a quick look at the question section to see if there are any items in here. All right, I do not see anything. Please feel free to post your questions here. I'm doing a quick time check. I see we are getting close to the last 15 minutes, and so if I'm expecting as you go through the session, more and more questions might come. Please feel free to post us to the either question window or chat window on the webinar tool. All right, just give me 1 second. All right. Um, As I was mentioning, before we get into how do we go about deploying the delivered chatbots, I wanted to quickly do a refresher in terms of some of the common terminologies that are used in the chatbot digital assistant world, so that if you are interested in moving taking the next step and getting into exploring the Oracle Digital Assistant based chatbots, these are some of the things that will be very helpful for you to be aware. All right, with that, let's say the first is we spoke about chatbot. The other way to call it is a skill. So it's like an absence skill, it's benefit skill, a recruitment skill. So any particular modular functionality that is supporting a particular area. For example, you are using PeopleSoft to do your absence management, then absence management is delivered with a chatbot skill to support that area. If you're using payroll in PeopleSoft, the payroll area is provided with the skill to support the payroll question. So those individual modular skills are referred to as either a skill or a chatbot. And the way the user interacts with the chatbot is called channel, and the channel that we use is the web widget on the right hand side bottom corner, the conversational window. That is the web channel that we use. There are various other channels like a voice channel, like a Slack channel, and so forth, but that's to give you an example what are the different options available. And anything that a user types in or says when they are talking to the chatbot, when they are interacting with the chatbot, when whatever they type in, that information is referred to as utterances. Information that is being provided by the user is called as utterances. Now, that utterances will have to be read and understood by the chatbot using a terminology called natural language processing. That natural language processing becomes the core fundamental aspect of the Oracle Digital Assistant platform. That's the AI driven natural language processing, because the user is not going to frame a proper grammatical question. How do I submit my absence request? They don't type in. Typically when we converse using chat, we don't type in a full worded question. We might type in few keywords like submit absence request, just a verb and a noun. We don't typically type in a fully worded question, so that understanding what user is typing in and making it figuring out what exactly the user wants to do is done using that natural language processing engine. Um, that is provided, that's the capability provided by the Oracle Digital Assistant platform. And by using that NLP functionality, figuring out what is the intent meaning what is that the user wants to do. Let's say submit absence request. So submit is the intent there. And to do the submitted absence request, what are the data entities available from the user? Let's say I did type in a question in my demo saying, what is my dental detection? So if I break that down, I'm looking for for the information, what is my detection, and I'm looking specifically for dental detection. So intent is to get my detection amount, and the entity is dental, which is the benefit plan for which the detection amount I'm looking for. So that needs to be broken down into the intent that the user is trying to achieve, and the data that is the entity that is available from the user, and then respond with the appropriate, find which skill to call, inter interface with that, get that information and respond to the user, and then prompt the user what to do next. Okay, you asked for a dental detection. Here is your dental detection amount. What can I do next? Do you want me to show other detections? Do you want me to take you to the home page? All those things, right? Prompting for different information. Now, this is the typical cycle that happens for every interaction with the chat. Every chat message we type in, the system understands it, breaks it down, goes and finds the information we are looking for, comes back and prompts for more. This is the cycle that repeats for every single item. So the terminologies that are called out here, utterances, NLP, intent, entity, these are the things that you'll need to be aware what it means as we talk about what is the process involved in deploying the delivered chatbots. Okay. So now let me go into this next step, which is the deployment process itself. So the reason why we want to talk about the deployment process here is that if you remember in the demo scenarios that I went through, I made a statement that everything that I was showing you was delivered out of the box. We haven't gone ahead and built anything to do that demo. What we have done is we have deployed what is delivered and configured it and have created a working scenarios to explain how it all works. So as a customer, if you are interested to move forward exploring Oracle Digital Assistant, what is the process that you need to go through to say, take what is delivered out of the box, and how do you get it ready for you to deploy it in your production or to your users to validate or test or make decisions, right? What is the process for you to go through? Now that's the deployment process that I want to walk through. Okay. So it starts with, let's assume you have done the two important things that we have discussed so far. One, let's say you have received or purchased subscription to Oracle Digital Assistant. You have set up your account there, and then you have worked with your system administrators to set up the integration point so your PeopleSoft system can talk to the digital assistants. Let's assume that you have done both those things. Now, what happens to happen from this point to move forward? Within the Oracle Digital Assistant, similar to how we have our app stores on Play Stores on our phone, where we have ability to go to a common place and download different applications, within the Oracle Digital Assistant platform, there is something called as a skill store, meaning that's where all the skills that are available from Oracle skill library is available for you to download. So you go to the skill store and look for the PeopleSoft specific skills that are delivered by the Oracle PeopleSoft team. So you download the delivered skills. It could be employee assistant, recruitment assistant. It could be benefits assistant, payroll assistant. You download those skills to your Oracle Digital Assistant account, and then you can either clone the skill, delivered skill, take a copy of it, and then start personalizing it to your usage, or you could extend the delivered skill and start personalizing it. The difference is If you clone it, then it is becomes your own version. If Oracle is providing any further changes, your cloned version doesn't get impacted. If you extend it, you are taking what is delivered by Oracle, you are adding other things to it. If Oracle changes it, those changes are going to be in, included in your extended version as well. So typically, depending upon the usage, if our usage is predominantly delivered skills, then we recommend customers to extend it. If the customer is trying to customize it and make it their own with a lot of changes, a lot of variations, then better to clone it so that no, any delivered changes wouldn't impact them. So both options have different scenarios where it is applicable. After we do that, then we get into personalizing and extending the chatbot skills. Now, when we say personalizing and extending it, that's where we basically review all the delivered utterances, all the delivered intents and entities, train the chatbot with more questions and answers, more utterances, more intents, review the dialogue flow. All these options, we go through this process of reviewing and personalizing it to make it your own. I'll go through an example of what we mean by that. This is very important aspect of making the chatbot your own. What I mean by that is, if you looked at a demo earlier, I had made the chatbot window look green in color. I had named the chatbot as DD. Chatbot had a welcome message when I logged in. All those are personalization. So essentially taking the delivered skill and personalizing to be specific to your organization's character, your organization's personality, right? We want to make all of those things look specific to you. So that's the personalization aspects. And then it's a evolving process. It's not typically one time you do it, you want to improve it, you keep doing it in a repetitive manner, and then deploy it to users to start using it. Once they start using it, the Oracle Digital Assistant platforms comes with a large amount of insights ability to track and understand how the chatbot is being used, what improvements are needed, and then based on that feedback, go ahead and then improve your personalize it more, address some of the problems. If you are getting into any unanswered questions, then train the chatbot more, make it more specific to your organization. So it becomes a feedback loop where you go through the process of improving and evolving your chat assistant as you use it more and more. So that process becomes a repetitive process. So this would be the typical cycle of downloading, personalizing, deploying, and making use of it going forward. All right. Now, I'll take an example and actually show you what we mean by personalizing and extending it, right? That way it's easier for you, all of you to understand. So first, when we talk about utterances, what do we mean by personalizing the utterances, right? So for example, we looked at in our demo, we submitted an absence request. Now, an absence request might mean might be termed or meant differently in different organization or different country, different region. For example, some places it might be called as leave request. Some places it may be called as personal time off. Some places it might be something else, right? So the same absence request may mean or be called differently in different places. So when we look at the download the delivered skill set for absence management, we basically see, okay, wherever absence request is the term used, you may want to call it a PTO request or a personal time off or a vacation or leave, whatever you want to call it, right? However, it has been known in your organization, you want to make sure the chatbot is trained in the language and terminology that your users are familiar with. That would be an example of updating and personalizing the utterances. Let's say intents. What do we mean by personalizing the intents? Let's say in the example I showed you, I was talking about what is my dental direction. I was showing some examples in terms of benefit plans, etc. Now, what exactly the chatbot skills can do may all not be relevant to what your organization offers. For example, your organization may not offer benefits deductions in PeopleSoft. Maybe it's done by a third party. That means that particular intent about dealing with benefits deductions may not be relevant to you. So you can disable that. Or you might be providing other functionalities that are not available in the delivered skills. You may want chatbots to do things that are not done in PeopleSoft. So you may have to add something. So that's what we refer to as working with intents or personalizing the intents. Question and answers is where I mentioned chatbots can be trained to answer any question, regardless whether the information is available in PeopleSoft or not. You could take a simple Excel spreadsheet and put a bunch of questions and a bunch of answers and train the chatbot to answer. When user has a question on the topic, it will be able to provide an answer. Whether it is done in PeopleSoft or not doesn't matter. So you could use it as a very simple Q&A mechanisms for your users to get answers from a chat window rather than calling somebody and asking them. So you could basically parse all your policy documents in a Q&A format and train the chatbot so it can answer any policy related questions. How many absence days do you have? How many, what is my parental leave policy? It can provide the policy from your parental leave document. So you could train the chatbot with any information in a Q&A format and make chatbots answer in that, provide that information to the user. Dialog flow. Now, dialog flow is what I would consider as a little bit advanced in terms of personalizing and customizing. Meaning, let's say when the chatbot window in the example demo when I showed you, when the chatbot window popped up, it gave me various options. Okay, within absence, you could submit an absence request. You can check your balances. And after I submitted my request, it provided me further option. So how do you want your chatbot to prompt user with various things? If after work is done, what do you want the chatbot to say? After, let's say, if a user is trying to get an absence balance, after showing the absence balance, should the chatbot ask, do you want to submit a leave? You can set up all those things. So how does the chatbot prompt the user is controlled using the dialog flow. So that I would consider that as an advanced level personalization or customization to say this is how we want the chatbot to interact with the user. Those things are all possible using the Delivered Digital Assistant framework. And then the one channel that we saw was using the web widget, the delivered chatbot window widget in the PeopleSoft application. But as I mentioned, the chatbot has a lot more options. ODA platform supports a lot more channels like a Slack channel, like Teams channel, like SMS channel. So if your organization is interested in exploring those additional channels can be deployed, and similar chat conversations can happen using those channels as well. So all these are what we would consider as the steps involved in personalizing and making the chatbot specific to your organization requirements. Taking what is delivered, which is significant amount of work that is delivered out of the box, all the integration mechanism between PeopleSoft and ODA are available as part of the delivered skills. Taking that information and uh, fine tuning it, refining it to make it specific to your organization. These are the steps that need to happen. Now, with that, I think we have reached exactly the time that we have 1 hour time that we had available, and I have a couple of other information to quickly cover, and then I have added a lot of information in the appendix section as well. So in terms of services, right? So we saw about how all of this happens. Now where SpearMC as a partner come into play is to assist in various aspects involved in starting with the advisory aspects in with developing a business case, working with you to understand how to prepare for deployment, how do you go about licensing and purchasing, and then going through the process of training, deployment, and all the way to maintaining and supporting on an ongoing basis. So covering the entire cycle, there are various services we provide that is all available both in here and our website as well for your information. And if you have any further questions, follow-up questions based on related to any of the items that we have discussed, we have the contact information available here as well, and you can reach out through our website as well. And with that, we'll wrap it up right on time. I know it's a different time. Many users are connecting on different time zones. So thank you very much for all of you for taking the time today to attend this webinar, and hope you find the information useful. Feel free to reach out with any questions, feedback, comments, and all of you have a great rest of the day and week. And until talk to you later, in a future demo or webinar later. Thank you very much. Bye bye.